The Panther Chameleon. Everyone thinks they know what a chameleon does. We've built decades of cartoons and corporate logo shorthand around one assumption about this animal, and that assumption is wrong. Under a panther chameleon's skin sits a layer of cells doing something so unusual, scientists didn't fully understand it until 2015, which is a little embarrassing for the rest of us who figured the answer was magic skin. Males hit about 20 inches long in Madagascar, flashing electric red, green, and blue. Two stacked layers of iridophores sit under the skin, and the upper layer is a triangular lattice of guanine nanocrystals. The animal changes color by stretching its skin, widening the crystal spacing, shifting which wavelength bounces back. It isn't mixing paint, it's retuning a nanoscale lattice, like turning a radio dial. A human skin cell is about 30 micrometers across. Those crystals sit 130 nanometers apart, over 200 times smaller. If your cells could retune at that scale, you could change your eye color by flexing. Here's where the old biology lesson falls apart. Panther chameleons don't change color to blend in. They're signaling mood, dominance, and courtship, and the camouflage myth stuck because a calm chameleon on a green branch happens to be green. Evolution gave this animal the most advanced display in the vertebrate world, and had it use the thing mostly to yell at other chameleons. Color isn't decoration. For these animals, it's a decision. It's not camouflage, it's a group chat. The Arctic fox. If you've ever seen one, you've only seen half the animal. The Snow White version is the winter model. In summer, it looks like a different species, and the trigger isn't temperature or snowfall. It's something the fox is measuring that has nothing to do with the weather it's standing in. Arctic foxes shed that white coat in April. By late June, they've grown in a thinner brown and gray summer pelt. By November, the dense white coat is back, roughly twice as insulating. The change runs on prolactin and melatonin, triggered by photoperiod, the number of daylight hours. The fox isn't reacting to the snow. It's reading the length of the day months in advance and growing the coat it'll need, confident that when winter arrives, the ground will match. A cuttlefish changes color in 100 milliseconds. A chameleon takes seconds. The Arctic fox takes 2 full months, roughly 50 million times longer. It's a fox running on a biological calendar app, checking sunrise times and pre-ordering next season's coat. Except climate change is moving the snow line, and the fox's calendar isn't updating. A white fox on a brown hillside is a fox that planned for a world that didn't arrive. The Mimic Octopus. Imagine you're a damselfish, territorial and aggressive, and you see what looks like a banded sea snake, a known predator, sliding across the sand. You back off. You never find out you were just intimidated by an octopus in costume. The list of animals this thing can impersonate is long, and the selection isn't random. It's doing something uncomfortably close to strategy. Researchers have documented it impersonating at least 15 different species. It doesn't just swap colors. It rearranges its arms, shifts posture, and changes movement pattern to match. When attacked by damselfish specifically, one individual was observed switching to a banded sea snake impression, the very predator those damselfish would flee. One animal, 15 documented species, 2 million years of prey animals evolving predator-specific avoidance, and this octopus co-opts all of it at once. It folds 6 arms under its body, splays 2 flat, and becomes a flounder, on command. We evolved one face. This octopus has 15 and a costume department. It's the only animal on Earth known to impersonate a different species depending on which predator is looking at it. Evolution, it turns out, prefers a good copycat to a brave competitor. The Pacific tree frog. If you grew up on the Pacific coast of North America, you've heard this frog. Its ribbit is the default frog noise Hollywood dubbed onto every movie frog regardless of continent, and hardly anyone notices it can change color. The shift is slow enough you'd miss it if you blinked for a week, but the mechanism involves 3 chromatophore layers: xanthophores carrying yellow pigment, iridophores reflecting blue light, and melanophores holding black and brown. The green you see is actually blue light bouncing off the middle layer and filtering up through the yellow layer above it. There's no actual green pigment anywhere in this frog. An entire animal whose defining color doesn't chemically exist, all interference, like a hologram that breathes. The shift matches background over hours to weeks, giving the frog cover on wet green leaves in spring and brown leaf litter in fall. Despite the name, the Pacific tree frog spends most of its life on the ground near water, not in trees. Taxonomists reclassified it into the chorus frog genus Pseudacris, but the old name stuck with the public anyway. Every shift of color is a decision the animal is making about who gets to know it's there. The frog you remember as green was never actually green. You just saw yellow stacked on blue and filled in the rest. The Peacock Flounder. Marine biologists in the 1950s wanted to know how flexible this fish's pattern matching really was, so they put one on a checkerboard. What it did next is still one of the most cited demonstrations of cephalopod-style camouflage in a vertebrate, except this isn't a cephalopod. The flounder doesn't have chromatophores on the nervous system scale octopi and cuttlefish do. It also doesn't have the excuse of being closely related to them. So how's it matching patterns this fast? Peacock flounders match sand textures, coral rubble patterns, and seagrass shadows in roughly 8 seconds. Cover one eye with sand, and the ability collapses within a minute. It sees the pattern, and then its skin becomes that pattern. The lab squares were each about an inch across, roughly a fifth of the fish's body length. Imagine lying on a 5-foot floor tile and feeling your skin tile itself to match. A fish with both eyes on one side of its head beat a test most humans fail at a carnival. It's hiding on sand, on coral, on checkerboards, and if you put it on a keyboard, it would probably try. The peacock flounder isn't hiding from predators, it's wearing the floor. If you're enjoying creatures that quietly break your sense of what's possible, I post new animal content like this regularly, and subscribing really helps the channel keep finding them. Thanks. The crab spider. Cephalopods get the viral clips. This spider never will. It's about the size of a pea, lives on flowers across North America and Europe, and the part where it changes color takes longer than a college semester. If speed is what makes color change insane, this should be the least impressive animal on the list. It's the opposite. The slowness is the weapon. Adult female goldenrod crab spiders shift between bright yellow and white depending on the flower they're hunting on. White to yellow takes 10 to 25 days. Yellow to white takes about 6. Yellow comes from secreting omochrome pigments into outer skin cells, and the spider has to biosynthesize those pigments from scratch. This is a predator that commits. When a crab spider picks a flower, it isn't just waiting. It's spending days rebuilding its own chemistry to match that exact petal. A cuttlefish matches a rock in 100 milliseconds. This spider takes up to 25 days to go from white to yellow. That's over 20 million times slower. Natural selection rewarded patience. It's a spider on a 2-week color deadline that can't be rushed. It's been sitting on this daisy for 9 days. It's not close to done, and neither are the bees. The ambush isn't the strike. The ambush is the commute. The golden tortoise beetle. Found across North American gardens and almost universally overlooked. From above, it looks like a drop of molten gold walking on a leaf. Poke it, threaten it, pick it up, the gold vanishes, replaced by deep brick red. The switch is mechanical, not chemical, and it runs on water. Its shell has 3 stacked nano-layered tiers, each reflecting a specific wavelength. Microscopic grooves inside those layers fill with the beetle's body fluid, smoothing them into optical quality mirrors. When stressed, the beetle drains the fluid. The grooves go rough, the mirrors fail, and the underlying red pigment shows through. Fluid in, gold. Fluid out, red. Researchers named the mechanism hygrochrome because nothing like it had been described before. A beetle you could lose on a thumbnail, running optical engineering more precise than the camera in your phone. Evolution, presented with the challenge of making a bug visible, chose wet, shiny gold instead of the perfectly adequate normal beetle colors. And the decision isn't always the animal's. Sometimes the body decides before the brain ever weighs in. It's the only animal ever documented using hydraulic pressure to change color. Color, it turns out, isn't always pigment. Sometimes it's plumbing. The hogfish. A 2023 paper in Nature Communications demonstrated that the hogfish is checking its own color change performance with a camera in its skin. Every vertebrate we know of keeps its photoreceptors in the eyes. This fish doesn't. And the reason it evolved a second, weirder set may change how we think about animal perception. Researchers at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington found a dedicated population of photoreceptors embedded in the skin, beneath the chromatophores, tuned to short wavelength light. The setup works like a Polaroid. The chromatophores above filter incoming light. The photoreceptors below read the filtered signal to check what color the skin is currently showing. The hogfish isn't using its skin to see the world. It's using its skin to see itself. A fish that looks at its own back and reads it as a sentence. Somewhere there's a hogfish actively checking whether it's read enough, and we're only just polite enough to let it finish. If this is true of the hogfish, how many other color-changing animals have been watching themselves the whole time? The blue-ringed octopus. It's one of the most venomous animals alive. The venom isn't the interesting part today. What's interesting is the warning system, the one the octopus is hoping you respect before the biting starts. It has 50 to 60 rings. They appear to flash on and off. Every other cephalopod does color change through chromatophores under nerve control. This one isn't, and for years nobody could figure out why the rings looked different. It lives from Japan to Australia, about the size of a golf ball. Those iridescent blue rings flash from hidden to fully visible in roughly 0.3 of a second. No chromatophores sit directly above the rings. The flash comes from a muscular contraction that uncovers permanent structural iridophores underneath. Every other cephalopod changes color by expanding pigment cells. This octopus does it by flexing. The rings are always there. They're just normally being physically covered by a muscle that lets go when the animal is pissed off. 0.3 of a second, 50 rings. Warning signals have to be fast and unambiguous, and a chromatophore display takes the brain time to compose. A mechanical reveal is instantaneous. The rings aren't turning on. They were always on. You were just not important enough to see them. It's the only known animal that signals by physically uncovering iridescence rather than generating it. The Caribbean reef squid. Imagine having a conversation with your boss on one cheek and flirting with a stranger on the other, simultaneously, and having your face do the talking for both. That's a reef squid during mating season. Squid color change isn't new on this list. This species pulls something new out of it. The left side and the right side aren't on the same page, and they aren't supposed to be. Chromatophore control is lateralized. Each side can display an independent pattern. A male courting a female on his right shows a soft stripe pattern on that side, while flashing an aggressive zebra display at a rival male on his left. Both can run simultaneously for minutes. This is parallel processing in an animal's skin. 2 messages, 2 audiences, 1 body. Biologists call it dual signaling because every other possible name sounds like we're making it up. The squid is roughly a foot long. The 2 displays are separated by less than 4 inches of its own body. 2 contradictory sentences, written inches apart, read correctly by 2 different readers. Evolution solved the problem of competing social pressures by letting each half of the animal commit to its own argument. It's a squid running 2 entirely different TED Talks on different halves of itself. If a squid can send 2 contradictory messages at once and commit fully to both, we have to admit honesty might be an evolutionary handicap. The cuttlefish. This is the animal the rest of this list has been warming up for. Cuttlefish skin is the single most complex visual display in the natural world, and the most famous fact is that the cuttlefish, biologically, has no idea what it's doing. Millions of chromatophores, pattern matching against photographs, checkerboards, and coral, so perfect divers have to be told where the animal is before they can see it. And the eye running the whole operation is colorblind. Large cuttlefish species pack up to 200 chromatophores per square millimeter of skin. Color change happens in 100 milliseconds, 1/10 of a second. Cuttlefish eyes have a single type of photoreceptor, colorblind by every standard measure. They're matching colors they can't see faster than your eye can track, using skin that's effectively a high-definition screen running on muscle-based pixels. A single adult wears more individually controlled color units than a 4K television has pixels. 300 million years of cephalopod evolution, and nothing has caught up. The strangest part? The best decision maker on this list has never once seen the color it's wearing. A cuttlefish is colorblind. It's a blind painter outpainting everything that can see. And if that doesn't break your idea of what evolution is willing to fund, nothing will. If watching animals quietly break the rules of biology is your kind of thing, I post new animal content every week, and subscribing makes sure you don't miss it. Thanks for watching.